Have you ever snapped at someone over a trivial annoyance? Or felt a sudden wave of jealousy that made no logical sense in the moment? These moments suggest our behavior is often driven by forces operating outside of our immediate awareness, pulling our strings from behind the scenes. The psychoanalyst Carl Jung proposed that the human mind is divided into two distinct territories, the conscious and the unconscious. The conscious mind contains the identity you know, accept, and present to the world every day. But the unconscious holds the shadow self. This is the psychological repository for every emotion, impulse, and trait you have hidden away because it felt unsafe or unwanted. Jung viewed this shadow as an active, persistent part of the personality that travels with us into every interaction. While we may believe we are making conscious choices, these hidden aspects often function as the primary drivers of our daily behavior and our relationships. This division begins in early childhood. Because children are entirely dependent on their caregivers for survival, they must adapt to their parents' expectations to ensure they receive love and safety. When a child perceives that certain traits, like anger, vulnerability, or even exuberant joy, evoke disapproval or withdrawal, they learn to suppress those parts of themselves to stay connected. These suppressed traits do not disappear. They are simply forced out of conscious awareness to maintain the necessary bond with the caregiver. Over time, the personality splits into acceptable traits in the light and unacceptable ones exiled to the dark. Maintaining this wall is exhausting. In adulthood, the ignored shadow leaks out as self-criticism or projection, causing intense judgment of those qualities in others. The very traits we hid to survive our childhoods often become the triggers that disrupt our adult peace of mind. Addressing this tension requires a process called shadow work. It is important to distinguish this from standard self-improvement. The goal is not to eliminate or fix these parts of yourself. The goal is integration. Integration involves turning toward your triggers and uncomfortable emotions with curiosity. Instead of suppressing a reaction, you observe it to see what it might be communicating. This requires recognizing that these suppressed traits began as vital protective strategies. They were the tools used to maintain safety and connection when you were small and vulnerable. You might practice this by pausing during an overreaction to ask what that sudden anger or fear is trying to protect, rather than trying to force the feeling away. Treating these hidden parts with compassion transforms your daily triggers into a roadmap for understanding your own internal world. Integration lessens the internal friction caused by constant self-monitoring. This process gradually frees up the psychological energy that was previously used to maintain the wall between your conscious and unconscious mind. As this conflict softens, relationships often become less defensive. When you no longer need to project your disowned traits onto others, you can relate to them with more authenticity and trust. Jung argued that no single part of the human personality is inherently defective or unacceptable. While the pursuit of perfection requires constant suppression and exhaustion, psychological wholeness provides a grounded, sustainable way to exist. By embracing your full complexity, both the parts you love and the parts you once had to hide, you stop living in reaction to your past and begin to inhabit a more contented present.